Hello, everyone. My name is Megan Hickey, and I'm the coordinator of the LaRosa Partnership Program. And this is a video tutorial on how to complete our Survey123 flow observation form. So there are two ways to complete the flow observation form. It can either be done in your web browser, so any web browser of your choice, Google Chrome, Safari, Firefox, whatever you use, or you can do it through an app that you can download in the App Store on any device that has access to the App Store. So most of you will probably download this on your phones because they're really easy to take out in the field with you. Or you could do it on a tablet or even your computer. You just have to access it through the Microsoft Store. And in this tutorial, I will show you how to get the app in both your phone and on your computer through the Microsoft Store. So just to note, there will be another video on how to use and complete the form in your web browser, but the app is our preferred method for completing the form because it has lots of capabilities that the web browser just doesn't have. So for example, the app can be used offline in the field, so you can use this even if you don't have cellular service, and it'll save all your information and you can submit it later once you have access to internet again or data or whatever. There's also some other features in the app that aren't in the web browser, such as you can go back in and edit a form that was already submitted. And another feature that's really helpful specifically for project coordinators who are doing this on behalf of their volunteers or who have a lot of sites that they're doing all at once. You can actually copy a completed form and fill it out and resubmit it again and again and change just, the site information and the flow observations, and it'll autofill in all the other things that don't need to change each time you submit the form, like if your partner organization name, for example. So that's really helpful, and I will show you how to do that also later in this video. So again, we really strongly encourage you to use the app if possible, but there's also the option to use the web browser as well. And that will be in a separate video tutorial. Okay, so the first thing you're going to need to do, if you weren't with us last year and you don't already have the app, is you're going to need to download the app. So on whatever device you choose to use, whether it's your computer, your phone, your tablet, I'm using an iPhone. This should also work for Android in a pretty similar manner. You're going to open up your App Store, wherever you download and buy your apps, and you're going to type in Survey123 and hit search, and it should be the first thing that pops up. It's going to say ArcGIS Survey123 with a green icon, a white notebook, and check mark. I already have it, so mine says open, but yours will, if you don't already have it, will say something like get or download or whatever that may be, and then you're going to do that. This app is completely free, so you shouldn't have to enter any credit card information or anything like that. So you're going to go ahead and click download and wait for that to download to your device. Now I'm going to show you how to download the app if you are on your computer. So one moment, I'm going to switch to sharing my screen on my computer. Okay, so you are going to, if you're using a Windows machine like I am, you're going to type into the search bar Microsoft Store, and that should pop up a little link like that, and that should open your store. And then you can go ahead and search in the search bar Survey123. And you'll see two different apps pop up. You don't want the Survey123 Connect. That's if you were to create a survey. You are not creating a survey, you're just using the app. So you're going to want the ArcGIS Survey123 No Connect. And they have a very similar logo, so that's easy to confuse. But the one you want is the one that's just the same green box with the white notebook and check mark, and it doesn't have this little pencil icon in the bottom left corner. So you will also have the option to install that as well. So you would go ahead and click install on your computer. And then when you open it up, it'll look something like this, which is pretty much going to look almost exactly identical to the phone. So the rest of the tutorial will still apply and it'll look exactly the same. If you ever can't find the Survey123 app once you've installed it on your computer, you can always search for it in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen using the Microsoft search bar, the same way you did for the Microsoft Store app. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and go back to sharing my phone. So if you have a Mac computer where you want to download the app, I don't have one myself, I have a PC, but you should be able to download the app in the Apple App Store from your Mac as well. But I have not verified this because I don't have a Mac. So if that is not the case, please let me know. So the next thing you're going to do once you have the app installed on your chosen device, which, like I said, I think for most of you is going to be your phone, you are going to need to download the LaRosa specific flow observation survey. So the cool thing about Survey123 is you can actually have a whole bunch of different surveys in it, and you need to specifically download them so you can use them offline. So if you're out in the field and you don't have service, you can still use these and complete the form as long as you have it downloaded in the app. So to do this, you're going to open the app. And this is important. Like I said, you have to do all of this on internet before you go out in the field for the first time. And even if you were with us in the past and you have the previous version from 2022, you're still going to need to update your form so it's current to this year. And you're going to have to do that every year. So again, before you go out for the first time this season, please make sure you have access to internet and update your LaRosa specific flow observation form. So when you open the app, you're going to get this screen and you're going to choose the bottom option, continue without signing in, because you don't need a form. So because I already have last year's form already on my phone, I am going to need to update. So I will go through, for those of you who already have it, how to do that. So you can see at the top of my screen, it flashed updates available 1 because my form needs to be updated. So you're going to go ahead and click on the form that you want to update. So for you, it'll say LPP flow data, and it'll have this nice little picture of a river and LaRosa Partnership Program with a blue circle. So go ahead and click on that, and you're going to get an error message that a newer version of the flow data form is available, and you're going to click Update Survey. You'll notice that there's no other option because you have to update in order to open the form. So it's something everyone has to do in order to get it to work. So that downloaded for me really quickly, and everything is ready to go for this year. If you don't already have the flow observation form downloaded, I'm going to show you how to do that. So there are 2 ways you can do it. You can either click the link from your phone browser. So within your browser and your phone, you can either type in the link URL or click on it. Maybe you're accessing the email from where I sent the link from your phone. You can go ahead and click on it there. Or you can scan the QR code, which can also be found in the same location as the link. So the link and QR code for our flow observation form will be sent out via email. It is also in the slides, the training slides, and it can also be found embedded in the partner guide. So, and it's the same link, same QR code for every year. So even if you have an old one from a previous year, it'll still work. So you can go ahead and use that. So in order to use the QR code, you could do it 2 ways. You can either open up your phone's camera and center it on the QR code, or you can click, you'll see in the search bar, there's a little QR code icon. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now, and I'm going to access it via the partner guide. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and click on the little QR code icon, and you can see it opens up my camera automatically, and it just very quickly scanned the code. So that's what happened right there. And now you'll see it gives me 2 options, open in browser or open in the Survey123 field app. So like I said, you're going to want to use the field app. The browser is only if you don't have the app, and it can't be used offline. So definitely always use the field app whenever possible, because it can be used offline and has additional features. And you can see there's even a message. If you don't already have the app, you can download it first, and there's a link to download it in the App Store. So I'm going to go ahead and click open in the Survey123 field app, and it brought me directly to the form in the app. But I'm going to go backwards so you can see the next time you open the app how to do it. So if you ever want to close a survey, just so you know, you can either save it, you can continue it, or you can close and lose changes. I wasn't actually completing a form, so I'm fine with closing and losing the changes. So if you go back to your home screen and you can scroll to wherever the app is on your phone, click the app, it'll open it up. And you'll see, like I said, that LPP flow data observation form right there in your Survey123 app. So you can go ahead and click on it. And now you'll see a little blurb describing why we do flow observations, and then two little options for collect or sent. If you've never sent a survey, you might not see the sent box. If you have stuff in your outbox, you will also see an outbox, but I'll get to that later. But now I'm going to show you how to access the LPP flow data form using the URL link instead of the QR code. This is particularly helpful if you are using the computer app, because the computer app won't be able to scan the QR code in the same way, so you're going to need to use the link instead. So I'm going to switch over sharing to my computer. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen, and you can access the link in all the same places that you can access the QR code. So that includes in the email that I sent out, but also within different places on our website. So you can find it embedded in the partner guide. So here on the main page of the website, there's a link to the partner guide. You can also go to the training and education section. There's another link to the partner guide. There's also a link to the annual partner training slideshow presentation, and it's embedded in there as well. So I'm going to find it in the partner guide. And once that's open, I already had it open, so you can see it right here, but you can navigate to this quickly by going to the table of figures in the table of contents, and it'll jump right here. So here is the URL link for the LaRosa Flow survey form, and that is going to be the same, like I said, from year to year. So you can always use the same link. So go ahead and click on that. It's going to give you the same options as when you use the QR code. It's going to say open in browser or open in the Field app. Again, you're always going to want to be using the Field app whenever possible because it has just more capabilities. It can work offline. It can allow you to edit forms and things like that. And you could even take your computer out into the field if you're comfortable. Of course, if you're not, you don't have to, because you can always use this after the fact, after sampling on your computer as well. So really, there's only very few specific case uses where you might use the browser, but please, like I said, use the app. And you even have a link here to get it directly, the app directly from the Microsoft Store. So I'm going to click open the Survey123 Field app. And you'll see again, it prompts you all the different locations where you can get the app. If you're on an Android, you can get it from the Google Play Store, the Apple App Store, or from the Microsoft Store. But I already have it installed, so I'm going to open the survey. And you'll see this opens up the survey right here on the computer app, and you can complete it just as you would as if it were on your phone or other device. And I'll just quickly click out of this. If I were working on a survey, I could save it in my drafts or go back to continue it, but I'm not actually filling it out right now, so I'm okay with closing and losing my changes. And you'll see this is just what the main page looks like on the computer app. It's exactly the same as the phone app. So I'm going to go back to sharing my phone. Okay, now that I'm back on my phone, I'm going to go ahead and again click into the survey form. If you are ready to collect a survey, you can go ahead and press the plus symbol on the blue circle and press collect. And that opens up the survey. All right, so now that you have the flow observation form downloaded, you can open it up and complete it. So you'll see at the top, it says complete one survey for every site and event. So every time you go out to a sampling site, you're going to open this up and you're going to complete one survey per site. So even if you take a duplicate sample, you don't need to do the survey twice for that site, just once. And even if you don't collect a water sample, so maybe the stream is dry or there's flooding happening and it wasn't safe to sample, you're still going to complete this form because we want that data recorded and we want to see it in our flow dashboard. There's also a link to a refresher on procedure. So if you forget what counts as a moderate flow or a high flow, or you forget what fresh it means, you can go ahead and click that click here link and it'll bring up a page that goes through all of that again. So next you're going to complete the sampler name section. So I'll go ahead and type in my name. And this is not required. It's not a required question. You'll see below the partner and site fields have a red asterisk next to them. That means it's required and you can't submit the survey unless that is filled out. The sampler name is not required this year to make things a little bit easier for those project coordinators who are completing this over and over again for all of their volunteers. So you can go ahead, if you're a project coordinator doing it for a bunch of people, you can go ahead and leave that blank and it'll still work. But if you are a volunteer out in the field, it's really helpful if you put your name, especially if you're only doing a few sites, because if something looks funny or your observation submitted weird and we had a question, if we see your name, we know who to ask and who collected that observation. So the next section is partner organization. So you can go ahead, click the drop-down arrow, and you'll see all of the 2023 LaRosa partners listed. So you can go ahead and click any one, and you'll see that when you go to click into sites, it'll have all the drop-down options specific to that particular partner organization. So it filters based on the organization. So if I were to choose a different organization, you will see there's a different list of sites specific to that organization. So you go ahead and click one. So let's pretend I'm visiting the OTRVF site. And if you were out doing this in the field, the date and time would automatically populate for that current moment. So if you're out in the field, that would be correct. But if you're doing this later on your computer, on the app on the computer, or maybe you forgot to do it in the field, you're going to have to manually change the date and time to reflect what time you actually went out into the field. And then same for the sample location. So this has a GPS enabled feature, so it'll automatically detect your location. But if you are not out in the field, it's going to be wherever you are in that moment. So right now I'm at the lab, so that is my location for the lab. But if you want to update it, you can just click on it and you can search and see the search bar and go ahead and type in the lat long for your site. And for a list of lat longs, you can go to refer back, if you're a project coordinator, to the season prep form for this year, or email me, and volunteers contact your project coordinator if you need to know your site's lat long. Next, we have sample site status. And for those of you who collected samples with us last year, this is going to look a little different. And basically, this just means what happened at that site. So the default option is water samples were collected. So 95% of the time you went out into the field, you collected a water sample, you recorded your flow observation, and you're going to choose that option and leave it at the default. There might be, however, a few reasons why you did not collect a water sample, but you still went out into the field to collect flow observations. So the first possibility is the stream is at flood level and it's not safe for sampling. So you couldn't actually wade out into the stream to collect a water sample, but you did go out and you did collect a observation. So you can click that option. And behind the scenes, it'll automatically fill in that the flow level is flood and that the flow type is freshet, because flood conditions only happen under freshet conditions. So you'll see it still lets you choose, is there visible turbidity in the stream, yes or no, and you can still take photos and add in additional field observations or notes. The other reason you might not collect a sample is that the stream bed is dry or the water levels are so low that sampling cannot be conducted. So this might be, it looks more like a mud puddle and it's not really flowing anymore, so you don't collect a sample. Or the flow is so low that when you go to dip your bottle into the stream, you're actually capturing a lot of sediment from the bottom, and that's contaminating the sample, so you just can't get a good sample. So you didn't collect a water sample, and you would just select this option, and it will automatically fill in all the flow observations as no flow. There may be another reason that you didn't sample. So maybe, I don't know, someone was on vacation and didn't go out, or whatever reason, or something happened. Whatever that reason might be, maybe a angry landowner yelled at you and you weren't able to collect the sample. So you could just click not sampled for other reason and please specify reason. So see, got yelled at by landowner. And hopefully that doesn't happen to you, but there have been some conditions where that has, and that's not ideal, but you do the best you can, and we have to be respectful of what people when they don't want us on their property, even if we've previously gotten permission. So I'm going to go back to if a water sample is collected, and you'll see the next section is lab sample ID. You can find this on the label for your bottle. Again, this question isn't required because when the project coordinators are going through and doing a bunch of these at once, it's really time consuming to type in the lab sample ID. But for everybody else, if you're only going out and collecting from a few sites or you're a volunteer, please fill out this lab sample ID because it serves as a quality assurance measure. So if for some reason some bottles got switched, if we go back into the flow observation and we see, oh, the lab sample ID doesn't match the site that's selected, and we see in the data that data looks really funky, then we could say, oh, that's what happened. That site, that bottle just got switched, and we can fix it from there. So this is going to require that you put in the 10-digit ID. So if you don't put in enough digits, it's going to say input format not satisfied. So, and it's going to start always with the year. So this year it'll start with 23, and then the rest of the 7 digits. And you'll see that it makes that little hyphen for the dash last 3 digits that indicate the specific sample number on the order. Next, we have stream flow observations. So you're going to go ahead and fill out the flow level, whether it's low, moderate, high, or flood. So we'll say low, and then the flow type, we'll say base. Is there visible turbidity in the stream water? No. And then you could go and take photos upstream and then downstream. The photos are not required, but it's really helpful during the quality assurance process to have those photos. And you can even take the photos from your camera photos folder, or if you're on your computer, if it's saved on your computer. So you don't have to take the photo live. You can take a saved photo and put it in here too if you're doing this after the fact. And again, those photos are really helpful because, you know, if we see a weird data point, like the flow level was base and low, but the phosphorus levels are really high, which would be unusual, we can go back and look at the photos, and maybe we might see, oh, that stream was hardly flowing, and what probably happened was some contamination. So it's definitely helpful to have those photos. Also, it's just great to be able to go back and look at those photos of each of the sample events if something comes up later on and we want to check, like, maybe when did that beaver dam go into place, you know, and how that might have affected things. So there is one restriction you should know about when you are completing the section, which is high and base or flood and base can never be selected together, because whenever the levels are high or flood, it's always because of a freshen event. So if you took the training, the annual partner training, you'll recall that freshet means when the flow levels are actively rising or falling due to a snowmelt or rain event, and that doesn't have to mean that that is happening right at that second, but that the rain, it doesn't have to be raining right at that second for the flow levels to be high because of a rain event and actively rising or falling. And if you look at the hydrograph in the training, you'll notice that, you know, the high flows are the highest 25% of flows that are always happening as a result of runoff, again, coming from either snowmelt or a rain event. So you'll see right here, if I try to select high and base flow and submit my survey, it's going to give me this warning that says when flow levels are high or flood condition, the type should be freshet. So you won't be able to submit unless you fix that. So we'll go ahead and click freshet now, and it'll say, is there visible turbidity in the stream water? We'll say yes. And then again, you can capture your photos and put in any additional field observations. So this could be things like the presence of outfall pipes, of a beaver dam, any wildlife, mussels, fish you see in the water, smells, unusual algal growth, whatever you might see that you think might impact the results or might just be worth noting. And you can put that right in here. And then you can go ahead and click the check mark and submit. That check mark might be hidden by your keyboard. So if you just click done or click away from the keyboard, it should come back. So you'll see there's 3 options: send now, continue the survey, or save an outbox. If you are online, you could go ahead and click send now. And the app is smart enough to know if you're online or not. So it says right below, survey completed, your device is online, because I do have internet right now. If you didn't have internet, you could go ahead and click Save in Outbox. And the outbox is really helpful because, again, if you don't have data, you don't have service, you can still complete these surveys in the field and come back and submit once you are back online. But keep in mind, you always have to come back and submit them once you're back online and check your outbox to make sure that all of your surveys are sent in, because they can get stuck in that outbox. It works similar to the outbox on an email, for example. So there's two ways you might see that you have a survey stuck in the outbox. So if you go back on the main page, you'll see up in the corner of my LPP flow data icon that there's a green 1, and that means I have one survey in the outbox. So you go ahead, click in it, and then you will also see this now outbox icon has appeared. So if you click on that, and you'll see that all of the flow observation forms that I have saved in the outbox are sitting there listed with the site name and the sample ID. You can also click on the 3 dots on the right, and if you click on the map icon all the way on the right, it'll actually show you the GPS location of that site as well. So if we go back to the outbox, and again, if you had visited a bunch of sites that day and saved them all in the outbox, they will all be listed here. So you can submit them by going to the bottom right-hand corner where it says send with a box with an arrow, and you can go ahead and click on that, and it'll send it all in. It'll automatically update to our Flow dashboard. And you'll see there's a sent folder where all of those sites that were previously in my outbox will now be. So, and the outbox disappears entirely. So as long as your outbox isn't there, all of your submissions should go through. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to edit a survey form that you have already submitted, but maybe you realized you made a mistake. So maybe you get back from the field and you realize, oh no, I accidentally clicked the wrong site, and I have 2 forms filled out for the same site, and it's meant to be another one. So you can go into your sent folder where you'll see all of the sites that you sampled that day and filled out a form for, and you can go ahead and click on the one that you want to edit, and you'll see 3 options. The first is view, which maybe you're not sure you made a mistake, so you just want to see, oh, did I type in that site name correctly? Or that flow observation correctly. You can click view and just see it, or you can click the middle option that says edit and resend if you know you want to make a change. So say I want to change the site, I can go in, pick a different site, scroll down, make sure everything else looks good, and click the check mark in the bottom right hand corner, and then it'll give you the options to send or save in the outbox as usual, and we're going to click send now. So it updated that information. It now reflects the correct sample site, as you can see at the top. Okay, so the last feature I'm going to show you here is most relevant for project coordinators whose volunteers are not completing the flow observation form out in the field on their own, and they're doing it on behalf of all their volunteers all at once for a bunch of different sites. So this allows you to copy a form and resubmit it with the same information pre-filled out, and you can just change the fields that you need to change, such as the site name, really easily without having to go through and recomplete and separately submit a form over and over again. So if you go ahead and you submit one form for one site, it'll show up in your sent box, and you can go into the sent box and say, I'm doing this top one again. So I'll click the top one, and I can click the option that says copy sent data to new survey. And when you do that, it will bring up the form with all the information already filled out. And this is a new form. It's not editing the existing submission. It's a completely new submission that will go into the database again. So you will need to update some things because it is for a new site. So you'll need to change your site name to the next site you're doing. The date and time will be your current, the past date and time, and it won't reflect the date and time that the sample is actually collected. So you have to go in and change that. Same for the sample location. So again, you can just click on these, type in the new lat long, and then all of this, the status should be the same. The lab sample ID is not required, so you can leave that blank. And if the flow observations are the same, it can stay the same, but maybe at this site, it was actually a moderate flow level instead of high. So you could just change that. If you do have photos, maybe your partner or your volunteers sent you photos that they took while out in the field, it'd be great if you could upload these from your computer, but if not, no problem. And then again, any additional field observations, and you can go ahead and click send now. And you can just keep doing that till you've gone through all of your sites. So it should make it much faster for those of you who have to do this for a bunch of on behalf of a bunch of your volunteers. So because this makes things a lot easier, we really do encourage all of you to use the app and not do a Excel form like we've done in the past submission, because the app, it really isn't too bad at all to use it, even if you're somebody with a lot of volunteers and a lot of sites. So I think that's pretty much it for the app. And again, reminder that you can use this app on basically any device. So it can be on your phone, your tablet, even your computer. And if you have any questions about that, please email me at megan.hickey@vermont.gov. Thank you so much.